some jokes about Rainham. Hey, we're live, everybody. It's Always Bookin Comedy. It's Monday night. I'm out of the studio. I'm up in Vail, Colorado, getting ready for the Vail Comedy Festival. And holy cow, is it a lot of work? But I don't want to bore you with that. We're here with Allison Dyen from Rainham, Massachusetts, or Boston, Massachusetts, if you prefer. We got a couple people online. Welcome. Thanks for being here. You can type in questions. You can be a part of the conversation. We're gonna chat, Allison. We're gonna find out about how you got started in comedy. We're gonna talk about show running. We're gonna talk about road work, if you got any stories there, and we'll have a good time. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Doing
Awesome.
great. I booked and had my first show this past Saturday.
Oh, that's amazing. Great. We'll get into that. We'll put a pin on that. But everybody's excited and eager to hear about it. Let's start with why are you doing comedy? How did you get into comedy? What was it like in the beginning? That kind of stuff.
So stand-up is something I always wanted to do. Ever since I was a kid, I remember the first comedy special I ever watched was Chris Rock, Bring the Pain, when I was a kid. And I always wanted to do it, but I never had the confidence to do it. And I kind of just put it aside and never really thought about it again until I had been working in the insurance industry for about 15 years and just not happy with the corporate life at all whatsoever. My husband and I had just moved to Los Angeles, and the entertainment industry, stand-up comedy, it's ubiquitous out there. So I thought, if I'm going to give it a shot, now's the time to do it. You only live once. I'm not happy with what I'm doing. And also, the shyness had kind of gone away over the years as I had grown up. So I took a class with a guy named Greg Dean, who's pretty well known out there. And he really focuses on joke writing and joke structure. So once I learned how to write a joke, it became kind of an obsession to just write as many jokes as I could. Not saying they were all great, but I would, just try to get the structure of it down. And that at the end of that class, we had a showcase.
Okay.
And I took that video because I thought it was the best video ever. It was my only video that I had. And I applied to a comedy festival with it. And about, 3-4 months later, I found out I got in to the comedy festival.
Wow. Holy cow.
Yeah. So I was still like doing open mics and everything in between. But once I got into the festival, I was thinking, well, maybe maybe I could really pursue this. And that's when I started getting more serious about it.
Nice. What festival was that, and what was that experience like?
It was the Palm Springs Comedy Festival.
Okay. Nice.
And it was actually the first year that they had ever had it.
Nice.
It was in downtown Palm Springs. I think there were 100 comics selected out of 800 submissions that they got. And it went on, I think, for 3 nights. I think a Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
It was basically a showcase. Everybody got 4 minutes. And they did pick a winner at the end. And I forget the name of the guy who won, but he did get a TV special on a local station.
Wow. Cool. That's awesome. All right. So you started with Chris Rock. You figured I look like this guy, or maybe I live near this guy. He grew up in the Boston area somewhere, some suburb. He was not from Rainham, right?
No.
All right. So, and then you took a class. Interesting. Okay, cool. Would you recommend taking a class to other comics getting started?
I would. I know it's kind of a controversial topic amongst comedians, but for me, the class doesn't really teach a sense of humor. It teaches more the structure of a joke.
Got it.
Yeah. So I know the class that I took, I thought was very helpful, and it really helped me with my writing. And I still think about lessons that I learned from Greg Dean when I'm writing now. So for me, it was great. I know that there are people that have had classes that have had different experiences where they're more focused on the performance than so much the actual joke writing.
Right.
So for me, I think for joke writing, it's definitely an asset to have taken a class.
That's amazing. Do you Did you know that Vail Comedy Festival now has a Vail Comedy School the day before Vail Comedy Festival?
Oh, that's great.
We do. We have it's coming up on Thursday. It's going to happen in the room I'm in right now, actually, of all places. And we got like the booker for America's Got Talent is doing a session. We got an opener for Nate Bargatze. It's going to be a lot of fun. People are going to hopefully learn some joke structure, like you were talking about, how to write a joke, and there'll be an opportunity to perform and all that good stuff. All right, now let's get into that. Let's get into that show. So, what's the name of your show?
So the show is called A Night of Laughs, and it's at the Kingsbury Club in Kingston, Mass. Did you want me to talk about how it got started?
Sure. I was just gonna make a recommendation. Have you considered naming it "I'm Dying Up Here"?
That's okay. So that's interesting. So yes, because I wanted to start my own production company, and I was going to call it Dyen for Laughs.
Okay.
That's what I was going to call it.
Yeah.
But the guy who runs the Kingsbury Club is actually a comedian and puppeteer.
Oh,
and
cool.
So he started an open mic there, and he hired me to host it. And the open mic became pretty successful, so he wanted to start booking shows, and he asked me to book the show. So this production company is his production company.
Okay, got it.
I'm
But
just
you're the brains behind the operation.
I think so.
Nice, nice. By the way, "I'm Dying Up Here" is a book written about comedy in the '70s, and I highly recommend it.
Oh, and what is the name of a show too, right? On
Yeah,
Showtime?
it's based on, and that show is terrific.
Yeah.
It's real. Like, did you watch it?
I watched the first season. I have to watch the second season.
Okay, it's so good. Brad Garrett is incredible in that. The guy who has a comedy club in Vegas.
Oh, I love Brad Garrett.
Yeah, he's like, I was very impressed with his acting chops in that show, and just the writing. It's a really great show, and it's based on that book. It's the same story basically. The TV show is fictionalized a little bit, but okay, cool. So all right, we keep distracting from A Night of Laughs.
Yes.
And so you set up this show. How did you talk about booking it? How did you find the comics to be on this show?
So so when I moved back to Massachusetts from LA, which was a couple years ago, I started doing, open mics and getting booked on local shows. So I had contacts with local headlining comedians. So I reached out basically to the comedians that I knew that they could headline, that would be interested in doing it. And I just reached out to them and just asked them, and I said, hey, this is what we're doing. This is when it is. This is what we can pay. Are you interested? And I thought, honestly, that I was going to get a lot of no's because I only had, I think, a month or two to book the show. So I was thinking, oh, everybody's going to be booked. But I kind of got lucky that my top two choices for the headliner and the feature were available. Nice. So it worked out nice for me. And I have someone that doing our next show, headlining our next show, Liam McGurk.
Oh, no way. Liam was on Vail Comedy Festival last year. Liam's the best. Awesome. That's terrific. He's so funny. That's great.
I don't know him at all. I just reached out to him and said, I'm doing the show. It's in July. Are you available? And he said, sure. So
heck yeah. That's great. That's good. How much time is he doing?
I told him 30 minutes.
Perfect. That'll be a fun show. That's awesome. Okay, so all right, so you book the show, you send out your messages or whatever, people confirm their dates, and what else do you have to figure out? Does the venue take care of ticketing and chairs and lights and sounds, or are you responsible for any of that stuff?
So I kind of got lucky because the producer of the show works at the venue. He runs the club. So he took care of all of that. He took care of putting the tickets on Eventbrite, the staging, the lighting. He has his puppet comedy routine with his brother. So they had a whole section set up for that.
Can we pause here and talk about what a puppet, like, are we talking about like the ventriloquist doll, or are they standing behind is there like some kind of backdrop and they put their hands up and you can't see their faces?
Yep, exactly.
What kind of situation are we talking about here?
So more like the Muppets, like Muppet style puppets. So
Okay.
the act that they do is called the Dirty Birds, and they're twin brothers, and their puppets are crows.
Okay.
And their setup kind of looks like fencing, and they
Okay.
stand behind the fencing, so all you see is the puppet.
And their arm, maybe, or no arm.
Not even their arm. I don't
Okay.
think
They're
so.
professionals. They know how to wear black t-shirts, long sleeve black t-shirts. Okay, good. All right. So they got their hand inside a crow,
Yeah.
and they're doing okay. It's kind of like Avenue Q, I guess, a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
that was a deep Broadway cut for our listeners out there that liked Allison's use of the word ubiquitous earlier. You know, we got a wide range of audience here. Okay, so he's taking care of most of this stuff. That's great. I would say that's very good advice to give to people who want to start a show. Find a venue that isn't a ton of work. You know, it's enough work getting people interested to come to the comedy show, to put down the Hulu remote, to book the show, etc. Okay, so talk about ticketing specifics. Is he ticketing through Eventbrite? Does he have some kind of his own system?
Yeah, so he used Eventbrite, and also the venue is the Kingsbury Club is actually a private athletic club. So if you are a member of the club, you could have gone there and got tickets in person.
Okay.
Or if you wanted to call and reserve your tickets and pay in cash when you got there, you could have done that too. But I think the majority of people got their tickets off of Eventbrite, and they were $15 for general admission. And he had set up kind of a VIP section that had waitress service, and those were $25 a seat.
Okay, nice. Did you find that many members came to the show, or was it mostly general public?
Mostly general public.
Okay.
I don't think there were many members from the club at all. Most of the people that came were people that were there to see specific acts,
Okay.
or fellow comedians who would come to our open mic and be supportive and bring friends and family.
Oh, nice. Did they pay for tickets, or did they get a discount or anything?
They paid for tickets.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's good. Rainham. It's raining in Rainham. They got I don't know anything about Rainham, but it sounds wet to me.
There's not much to know.
Okay. All right. Okay, so you get a decent crowd. You sell some tickets. You put on the show. How'd the show go? What's your favorite thing about the show, and the one thing you'd change if you could?
My favorite thing about the show, honestly, is that it sold out.
Hey, that is a huge win.
Yes, 120 tickets.
Wow.
Were sold. That was once we sold the show out, honestly, I had no other worries at that point.
That is amazing. Who was your headliner?
So the headliner was Troy Burdett, who is a local Boston comedian. He has a following here. He runs a couple of shows himself. One of them is called the Weed Game Show, which is pretty popular. He runs another one called Boston Comedy Party. So he's pretty well known around here. 26-year-old guy, very, very funny. He kind of reminds me of like a stoner, like Sean Penn in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Okay.
But smart, if that makes sense. Like a
Okay.
smart stoner. So I knew he was going to be fun. I had seen him perform multiple times. And I knew he was going to be good. And one of the other comedians that we booked was a local guy doing his very first performance at a comedy show.
Okay.
And he brought like 50 people. So that was
nice.
Kind of like another good, I guess, tip would be, if you have local comedians who are, who are doing their first show or who are not being seen everywhere, they're going to bring everyone that they know to that show.
That's great. That's cool. We got some audience. Seth Rogen type. That's some good crowd work there. I like it.
Yeah, Seth Rogen. That's better. That was better than my reference.
More up to date reference. A little more 21st century. What century is this? I don't even know. Okay. So what else do we have to talk about? How about let me ask you about a big booking win that you've had. Like you getting booked. You talked about the festival already. Let's pick something else maybe.
Sure. So the best story that I have is I was doing a show for a guy named John Parada who runs Rhode Island Comedy Factory, and he does
Out of
all
Pawtucket.
I think, yeah.
I'm going to be there in July. How exciting. Okay, I'm excited. I'm tuned into this story. Let's hear more.
Oh, good. So I love John Parada. He's one of the nicest guys, and I went to an open. Him and his business partner Steve Denunzio run a whole bunch of open mics in Rhode Island, and I went to one of them, and Steve Denunzio liked me, and he came up to me and he said, "I'm going to get you booked on a show."
Wow.
And I said,
How
"Okay."
long a drive was it to that mic?
From where I live, maybe 40 minutes.
80 minutes round trip. That's an investment, but it was worth it. It was worth it.
Totally worth it. And so I got maybe like a week or so later, I got a text message from John Parada saying, here are the shows I have available. Pick which ones you want.
Wow.
And so I picked one at I don't know if you're going to be at the Comedy Park. That's in Cranston, Rhode Island.
That might be where.
And it's
okay.
They have it's a theater, and then they have a little like comedy club right next to it. So it's the Park Theater and then the Comedy Park. And I went and I did that show, and I thought the best show I ever had. I was so happy with my performance. And then John Parada came up to me after and just handed me a card with details for a show that was going to be like 3 days after that. And he was just like, "Can you do this show?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So that's probably my favorite booking win because it was unexpected.
That's incredible. And not only it turned into a rebooking, which is even better. So more work, and work begets work. And that's awesome. Yeah. Congratulations. All right, let's talk about, I don't know, tell me a little bit about so is the show that you ran at the athletic club, is that the only show you've run? Is that a new thing for you, or have you done lots of shows?
Nope, that's the first show I ever booked.
You should quit right now. Sold out, 120 tickets. You did it. You perfect score. You aced the SATs. Well, that's great. When's it? Well, okay. So how about the Liam? Are the tickets on sale for Liam?
Yep, they're available on Eventbrite. The show is going to be July 29th.
All right, July 29th, everybody. Get out there. Check out Liam. July 29th. That just came up today. That's not a Sunday, is it?
Should be a Saturday.
Saturday. Okay. July 30th came up today for something.
Because I was actually going to ask you, but I think you're going to be out of the area by then.
Yeah, I won't be there. I am in town in the Rhode Island, Massachusetts area sometime around that. I think that's when I think I come back that like Thursday or Friday. Yeah, back to Colorado. And then I had a casino gig in Oregon that recently canceled. As in like 2 days ago. Some cage match nonsense is taking over the comedy show. And frankly, I think it's ridiculous. Okay. You can't cancel on comics that are flying across the country and have rented cars, etc. It's bad.
All right. They should at least give you some type of compensation.
I think so. But, this is part of being booked, I guess. I just haven't experienced it very often. As it turned out, I got almost all my money back. And it's kind of a relief because it was going to be a tough turnaround. But the pay was really good. So it's kind of a bummer. But anyways, let's talk about hitting the road. So you were in LA for a long time. Yeah. How do you compare LA to Rainham?
Well, I mean, it's totally different. I mean, LA in terms of comedy, comedy's everywhere in Los Angeles. You could hit 3, 4, 5 open mics a night if you wanted to. If you're doing shows, you can probably do 3 shows. Did you
like every time I go to LA, I found it hard to hit multiple mics, and you had to pay for them.
Some of them, yeah. So some of them you had to pay for like $5 maybe to be able to perform. But there was one, I think it was the West Side Comedy Theater in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
That one was really early. I think it was like 5 o'clock. So
speaking of cancellation stories, I have a great story about that, where LA is so big that I went to a mic and then I went to that West Side mic. It took 45 minutes to go from the one mic to the next mic. And as I'm walking up, there's like an alley. It's like the door is in an alley behind a parking garage, and there's like people just clearly furious, and they look kind of like comics. After a while, you can tell the comics are disheveled, they're chain smoking or vaping or just angry in and out. But these ones were especially angry, and like my spidey sense was like, this is not good. Something not good is happening. And sure enough, I get there and like, I don't know, Mike Birbiglia had dropped in or something, and they canceled the open mic, and I just driven 45 minutes, and oh man, welcome to comedy, Mark. That was a bummer.
That stinks because I liked that one. The thing I liked about it is because there were a lot of LA open mics that were bucket style.
Oh yeah.
And they were bucket style too, but the way they did it is you put your name in the bucket, and I don't know how many comics they did, like 20, 15, 20. They would pick the names out right from the beginning.
Yeah, that's
so
nice.
So you can leave if you wanted to go try to get on another mic. Yeah. But I would do that one, and then there was also one on Hollywood Boulevard at a Hooters, like upstairs from a Hooters restaurant, that went on pretty late. So like that was one I could hit like after if I did a mic at like Flappers in Burbank, and then I could go to that Hooters because that one went super long into the night. So, but yeah, there were some, I could see how it could be hard to hit multiple ones if they all have to really be in the same area because that LA traffic, if you're going to try to do as many as possible, you kind of have to concentrate them in one area.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Sounds like you're turning Rainham into a little LA though, with all the mics you're running and the success you're having with the mics and the shows. Let's talk about some road work. Have you hit the road, done some? I mean, that Providence or whatever, the Rhode Island gig sounds like road work to me. I mean, it was a
yeah. I mean, I mean, Providence is a half hour from where I live, so it's pretty much like going to Boston for me. So if you consider that road work. But I would say I really haven't done any. The most I've hit the road for is festivals, because I've done festivals in, New York and California. I'm actually doing the Laugh Riot Girl Festival in LA at the beginning of June. But I do have a show coming up in New Hampshire. So I think
that's
locally,
exciting.
Yeah, that's going to be, I think, the farthest I've gone kind of just for a show where it wasn't a festival.
How'd you get booked on that?
So the same guy who runs the Kingsbury Club, his production company, Delusional Comedy Productions, he is putting on that show in New Hampshire. So he booked me on that show with some other comics.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, see, you did good work for him. This is how like everything gets paid forward. You got to work hard and be nice to everybody all the time. And then people remember that and they want to repay your kindness and your effort. All right, we got a question from the Carolinas here. Do comics trade spots in a bucket style mic? Like if somebody drew the first spot and switched with somebody going on later? I'll let Allison take this answer. I think I know the answer.
I have never seen that happen. Usually bucket style would be as the mic is progressing, the host is pulling out names. So when you pull your name, you go up. I don't think they would let you give that to somebody else.
Yeah, I think he meant specifically the one where
the West Side one.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
I haven't. I would say that's bad form. But if you wanted to do it, what I would do is I would switch names with the other person. So that would work. It'd be tough for me to go up as Allison Dyen, but these days nobody's going to question anything. Who's to tell me I can't be an Allison, huh?
You can totally be an Allison. I see it.
Yeah. I don't know if that was a compliment.
I like me. It's a compliment.
All right. I hope that answered that question. I would say no. No, you can't.
I wouldn't mess with the host.
That. Yeah.
They got enough to worry about.
Happy that you got picked, because a lot of times, like you look at like Kill Tony, which is a bucket style thing. You got 150 comics for 5 spots. So if you get a spot, you're just happy you got the spot and you take it.
Oh yeah.
But I definitely, to Allison's point, I prefer that style of where they let everybody who got picked in the beginning, because it's a time saver, and also it's like your performance is better. I got pulled up at a big comedy club in a bucket like a month ago, and I had to run like straight to the stage and do my set with like zero preparation, and it was it definitely took me like 20 seconds to kind of like figure out. I was like, I had the mic cord all messed up, and like I was trying to hit record on my phone at the last second as I'm running up, and that's not. It's harder than you'd think to do comedy when you don't know that you're doing comedy, I guess.
Well, yeah, and people sometimes like say you're in the bathroom, or if you're a smoker and you went out to have you can miss when your name gets called if you aren't in the room.
Right.
So that I always stay if it's bucket style. I don't move.
Right. Yeah. All right. What other, I don't know, you got any other advice or let's talk about festivals. So you've been to several festivals. What are some top two, without naming the festivals, what are two favorite things about going to festivals and two things that you did not like about going to these festivals?
So the number one thing definitely is meeting other comedians. That's definitely the best thing about it, because you meet comedians from all over the country, sometimes different parts of the world that you would never meet, locally. And I've remained friends and in contact, with those people since I've done festivals with them. And when they come into town, I'm like, let me know, I want to come see you. So I think that is probably the best, is sort of the networking with the other comedians. The other thing I like about it is I like the traveling aspect. I like doing festivals in areas that I've never been to, or areas I've been to that I know I like. So it's kind of a little bit of a vacation / a comedy gig. So that way, you get something out of it no matter what, if you're having fun just visiting the area. What I don't like about festivals is that it could get kind of expensive. If you're lucky enough to get into multiple festivals that you apply to, and they all require traveling and hotels, and a lot of the festivals are not paid work. So that's really all at your expense. So that is what I say is the hardest thing about it, is just being able to afford to do all the festivals you want to do. Because I would do them all if I could.
Yeah, let me jump in and just say that the Vail Comedy Festival pays for lodging for all comedians, which is, it's not, it still costs money to get here, and but it's definitely I'd say that's above average in the festival. Of the festivals you've been to, have any of them paid for lodging or offered lodging assistance of some type?
None of the ones, some of the ones I've applied to, yes, but none of the ones I've actually gotten into have paid. I did a festival once, and there were comedians. I had a hotel room. I was lucky to get the hotel room because in that town there was a festival going on, another type of festival going on at the time, and every hotel was booked. So I got a hotel room. It was a terrible hotel room. I mean, just dirty and awful, but I had one. And then I found out the majority of the comics that went to the festival slept in their cars because they couldn't get hotel rooms, or the ones that they could get were ridiculously expensive by that point. So
okay, all right, and give us a specific negative from a festival.
Oh, well, so one festival I was in, they had said that they were going to give, I don't know if there were awards or just sort of recognition. Like, I don't think there was going to be like a cash prize or anything, but like recognition for, say, the best female comedian, the best blue comedian, the best, I don't know, whatever the different categories were. And that never happened, which I just thought was disappointing, because not that I thought I'd win any, but
That's weird. Yeah, when you set an expectation, you kind of want people to follow through.
Yeah.
That is a bummer, especially as you mentioned, it's expensive. It's time consuming, expensive. You're potentially turning down other work. And that feels like a bait and switch. I agree with that. That doesn't sound great. Although I would say that in general, I don't really love festivals that are like contests. I kind of prefer, because it's stressful, and your number one favorite thing is hanging out with comics and networking. And I would agree that's a really important part of festivals. And it damages that when they're your competitors, and now you're like cutthroat against these other comedians that hopefully you should be networking with and developing future relationships with. Well, Allison, this was great. You didn't die up here. You did a great job. This was really fun. Vail Comedy Festival is this weekend and every Memorial Day weekend in Vail, Colorado. And go to A Night of Laughs with Allison Dyen once a month, and coming up July 29th with Liam McGurk. And anything else you want to say to close us out here, Allison?
No, just thanks for having me. I love talking to you, and this was great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. How can people find you if they want to come see you?
So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, just at Allison Dyen.
Dyen, everybody.
Yes.
All right, this is Always Bookin Comedy. We're back in 1 week. We're back in 1 week. I'll be looking very tired, I think, after 3 days of comedy festival organization. Really 5 days. We're starting 2 days before the festival with a show in Denver with comics that have flown in for the festival, Friends of Ale Comedy Festival. 1 day before the festival with a special surprise headliner at a free community show the night before the festival, and then 3 crazy days of Ale Comedy Festival. And I hope to see everybody next week on Always Bookin Comedy. Thank you again, Allison. Everybody have a terrific week.